My name is Josh Dunn, and I play drums in a band called 21 Pilots. I started playing drums when I was probably about 12, and I used to skateboard to my local record store and just find the most tattooed guy that I could find in there and have him recommend me an album, kind of like one a week or one every couple weeks, and then I would walk across the street and put that in my little CD player, and then walk across to the music store and go in there and play their drums, and I would play until they kicked me out and said that other people need to come in and buy drums. And I remember when I first learned the first beat that kind of like made sense, I thought in my head that that's something that I wanted to do forever. As I was growing up and not having a lot of money throughout both middle school and high school, and even after that, I was very creative in how I put together kind of a drum set. I even thought about finding pieces of wood and figuring out how to turn those into drum shells that I can drill holes into and put some hardware in and figure out different ways of how they can sound. And truly, I think I just never really wanted to just have like some drum band's logo on there. And the first drum company that really reached out to me was SJC Drums, and I remember hearing their drums all over the place and seeing things online and social media that I thought was really interesting. I've always really liked the idea of being very strategic with social media and how a brand portrays themselves, or how a company even brands themselves and puts that out there into the world. And I really agreed with a lot of the ways that they did that, and not only that, but how they sounded. And as I talked to the owners of this company, I saw myself working with them, and so we agreed upon some ideas of a drum set and collaborated artistically right off the bat. And the first drum set that I ever got from them, I loved more than any kit that I had ever played. It's gone from me not wanting to have a logo on anything, or me wanting to build my own drums, to me telling everybody that plays drums to go and play SJC Drums, because I've not only fallen in love with the quality and also the creativity of the company, but I've become great friends with all of them as well, and I think that's all really important, is sort of that creative, collaborative friendship as well. It's just really cool. It's truly a passion, is what I'd say. It sounds dramatic, but I'm passionate about playing drums, and I play the exact same way, whether I'm sitting in a dark room all by myself with a drum set, or if I'm in front of thousands of people. And there's nothing that I like to do more than play drums. And so I think advice for drummers specifically is to try and be creative and try and do something different, and just try something different. It might look weird. I do things that look so weird sometimes, or feel weird, but it's fun to just kind of get outside of the box a little bit. Naturally, I think as a drummer, when people ask a drummer who's your inspiration, it's typical to go toward other drummers, and I have a lot of inspirations that are drummers, but I also think it's interesting to think about other inspirations. What inspires you to play drums doesn't necessarily have to be a drummer. There are also other musicians or frontmen who inspire me. My parents are also an inspiration for me to play drums, and They've kind of been a part of it since the beginning. In an ironic way, I started playing in sort of a rebellious state against them, and then it turned into them really supporting what I did, and now my mom is my biggest fan. Drums to me is really weird. When I started listening to these different records, whatever it was, and when I would listen to these different styles of music and things that I was influenced by, whether I didn't know it, whether I knew it or not, I think such a driving part of all of these kinds of music were the drums. Not only that, but when I was younger, I was terrified of talking in front of people, whether it was a crowd of people or even a small group of people. It was terrifying, and I felt like this is a place where I can sort of hide behind and do my thing, but also feel like I'm not necessarily presenting myself in a very vulnerable way. And it's something that if I get nervous, all I naturally do is hit harder, and I don't think that's typically a bad thing. So it became something that I needed to do, and I couldn't think about doing anything else. I think the highest point for me in this sort of journey of music or drums was a college show at Ohio University. It was actually in somebody's backyard. There was a couple planks of wood for a stage, and we sat up. But before then, we had all of our gear kind of to the side of the backyard against the fence, and it was all completely drunk kids. There was a kid that almost peed on my drums twice. I think I had to push him away, and then he moved from there to go try and pee on our merch, and so we get on stage and we play one song and start our second song, and the cops shut us down. And the whole thing sounds horrible, and it doesn't sound like it would be like the high point of my musical journey. But this show in particular was the first show that Tyler and I ever played together, which is the other guy in this band. It was a kind of at the moment that was during that one song that we were able to play, that I was kind of like, I'm playing music with my best friend, and I'll never forget that. It's crazy that I'm here now, getting to play music in front of people and share it and be creative and travel around with my best friends to hit drums.